Hello loves! We are going to start our tutorial about creating the WebSocket chat inspired by Telegram, WhatsApp and so on. This course will be split in two. First block and playlist is about backend, which goes first, and second is about the frontend. You may start by the frontend if you're not interested in first one. After finishing this course, I'll provide you public repository with opportunity to run it locally. The main idea of this course to understand how to implement WebSockets, like how to implement the correct WebSocket server, how to send the signal from, for example, post method when you're writing the message, sending it, storing it to the database and sending the signal to the WebSocket to have ability to read from it, how to make the authorization on it. Secondly, it's about creating the file system handling from both sides, like to store pictures, how to send them from the front end, where to store them, how to work with them and so on. When I was a beginner, there wasn't much opportunity to find the internet the complete information about how to implement and build such a system, but those parts of system are included in every single project, so we have to know how to do it. And in addition, it's about how to creating the project from A to Z. Also, I'll make some final videos about how to deploy those projects on DigitalOcean, which is also a big trouble when you do not know how and when you are a beginner. So for this course, you will need some knowledge in Python for the backend section and JS for the frontend section, of course, and maybe some background experience in writing the websites. For the backend part, our tutorial will going on stack with Fast API, which provides us the good WebSocket library with PostgreSQL and Docker, which will help us to contain it all. Also, if you do not know how, you will learn how to make the source services with the Docker Compose, how to handle them, which is also using in every single project. And remember, very important notice that we're not implementing socket signals from scratch. If you need something more, something deep, just think again, like, do you really need it? So we're going to work with the library and understand how to build the WebSocket server, which is pretty close to making it from scratch. So for the first block, for the backend section, we're going to start with a Docker Compose project example, dependencies list, every initial application implementation, such a database and model setup, or Alembic migrations and such thing. So in the next video, after the migrations, we're going to implement the models, which will be connected to our database and migrations. In the next section, we're going to make the JWT service middleware implementation of the custom middlewares to fill the request with the needed data and working with the JWT service. We are not going to use some JWT authentication implementation from libraries. We're going to make it by ourselves, just based on JWT library with decoding and encoding token directly. We're going to make the authentication, custom password hashing. We're going to understand the full cycle of how authentication and authorization actually works. Also, we're going to make the 2FA, which is two-factor authentication based on phone sending code. Of course, we're not going to send some code by SMS because it costs money. We're going to make some mock service and return the code. I will just show you how does it work and what you will have to expect, even though you are, I don't know, connecting some SDK or going to project where they're using it. And we're going to make the main controllers, profile controllers such as chat controller and other stuff, which will handle our requests and return the responses. And which is important for the profile controller, we will work with the file system storage, which provides opportunity to upload file, which is our user's picture. And in the end, we're going to make the socket manager singleton, which will help us to store the socket connections, and the socket listener endpoint, and we will learn how to send the signal to this WebSocket to update the socket data. As I mentioned before, in the end of the backend section, we're going to deploy it. So on the frontend section, we are going to use the Vue 3 and White because I'm not a frontend first engineer and this is the one framework which I know. Of course, the code might be a little bit messy for the frontend, and As I mentioned, I'm kind of lazy, but it's stable, it works, it shows what I wanted to show you, and it works as we expected. On the first lesson, we're going to implement this Docker Compose project example, which you can use as a backend section in your future projects, because it is very simple yet very useful. On the second lesson, we are going to implement the routing, the authorization page, which includes registration, login, and 2FA, and authentication service, which will handle the request and responses, work with the JWT token, store it in the Vuex, and we will implement the authorization opportunity for our project. Also, we're going to make the user profile page. I will show you how to send the user profile avatar media, as I mentioned, for the backend. We will create the chat page list and messages list. Like in Telegram, when you're clicking on a chat, there's opening the message list where you can write down your message and read some messages which came to you. After, we're going to create the socket listening and updating for messages and make the notification sounds where new messages arrived. And in the end, we're going to make the chat list updating and socket listening. So it means like not only the messages will be updated by the socket server, but we'll also have the socket for the chat list, like in Telegram, when somebody writes you chat button, just jumping at the top of your chat list. And after that, we're going to deploy the project on the DigitalOcean. Meanwhile, we're going to work with the course and plenty of different issues which can arrive. I will make some mistakes when I'm going to write this code for you. Videos will be much more longer, but in that case you will have opportunity to see how I solve those errors, how I work with them, and this information will be also very useful for you. So let us begin from the backend section. Until then.